Bonjour and welcome, as always, to another late. I know, I'm well late with this one. That was just life getting in the way, unfortunately, so I do apologise. But so I'm saying this week's comics, but blimey, in the next couple of days, this week's comics will be due out. So, yeah, come on, I'll call it last week. The best of last week, come on, who cares? Who cares if it's good comics? And I've got 5 for the deep dive, and I've got 5 of the. I can't do them all. You know I hate calling them all so rands, but it was a really, really good week, and I struggled. There was easily three contenders here for top for book of the week. To be fair, and that don't usually happen. And I could have done a deep dive in all 10. Oh yeah, well, maybe not all 10, but a good 7. Good 7, but I won't. Let's concentrate on the good stuff. Before I do, as always, thank you to everyone who is subscribing to my channel. Love you all. You know you're my top of the shop. And obviously, if you're viewing my channel, I love you as well. If you're liking, I love you that little bit more. And if you're commenting, I love you a little bit more than that. So anyway, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Let's get on with it. G.I. Joe. The 301st issue. I was never a fan back in the day. I can't claim that. I can't. When Marvel were first doing it, but that's a good read, and that is a good setup for anyone for new. The thing I liked about it is the legacy numbering, but for a comic that is just set up for new fans. To be fair. But I think there's going to be enough in there for old fans. It's G.I. Joe, so it's using all of the same characters. So, you know, I can't speak for old fans, but what I will say is, as a new fan, great issue 1. Right, issue 3 of Daredevil. Now, I know I did have a couple of things to say about it, and they weren't negative. But with this issue 3, I think I can see where they're going with it, and there are a few story elements there that are gelling. I'm getting used to the new situation. You know, it's not the old one. You know, crusty old me. You know, followed him since the 70s, and this ain't the Daredevil. But do you know what? They're just setting up a bit more modern scenario for him, and yeah, I've enjoyed each issue. I've enjoyed a little bit more. Perhaps my expectations were too high on issue 1, and then issue 2 they were low. But it's impressive. And issue 3, I suddenly thought, oh, things are clicking together here. So recommend that. These books are always good. You know how much I like Junkyard Joe. The first series of Geiger came out before I started doing these reviews. So, but since Junkyard Joe come out, I've picked up the back issues of this, but this is new out, and it's all in kind of connected in a connected universe. This is mad book of the week. If I could have a mental one, sorry about the glare on that. I don't know why that's glared and all the other ones didn't. Just taking this Peach Momoko artwork just for a moment. We will be doing a deep dive on this because there is something about Peach Momoko being so absolutely bonkers that I love. I really do love it. And I was going to make that a book of the week, you know. But, like I say, the competition was fierce. But it had to be this. Now, I'm saying about Peach Momoko being bonkers. Mark Miller just threw everything. If you've been reading this, and if you haven't yet, well, then you're in for a treat if you're going for the graphic novel. Again, like I say, Mark Miller just threw everything at it. I'm surprised there isn't a kitchen sink somewhere in the artwork. That's my book of the week, guys. It was absolutely stonking. Even if, like me, you hadn't followed every single title. I mean, I picked up Chrononauts, Jupiter's Legacy. I got kick ass when it first came out and hit, blah, blah, blah. But I think if you've been a lover of the Millerverse, Miller world, wherever Miller world, whatever he calls it, you'd have been getting the full strength of that story. But I still think, nevertheless, yeah, it's been solid, even for the kind of ones that have flirted with his creative output. This is another one, and it's another issue 3, like Daredevil. Which I've got to say, I did have my comments. You know, it was about my favourite Batman, and this was a bit. But I've got to say, it's getting its own character. It's kind of building its own character, and it is still CW. Like Paul said, comics and fantasy in Hornchurch, Essex, where I get all my new stuff from. Yeah, he called it, and it is still a bit CW. But I've got to admit, I'm finding a charm to it now that I'm enjoying. Perhaps it's because we're all settling down and relaxing. Maybe it is expectations. You get that issue 1 and you think, oh my God. But just to not cancel it out, but just to counterbalance, that's a better word, this Detective Comics, and I did do a deep dive on the last issue of this a few weeks ago. Oh yeah, that's my Batman there, right there. Still like got that that Sienkiewicz, Sam Keith style of artwork in it that I really did love. And artwork wise, I mean, every now and again I do struggle with this guy's art. I mean, I know he kind of made a name for himself on that Tim Drake Robin storyline, which I just thought the artwork. You can't say the artwork's awful, it just did not suit. Somehow, it just about suits this 1940s kind of, I think it's 1940s, 1940s, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Back in the day, it does. And second issue, I'm just really enjoying. There's something refreshing about it. I'm enjoying. Mad, again, another mad title. Nevertheless, I have been enjoying it. It's pointless me explaining to you the storyline. Just know that probably graphic novel. This would like a lot of the AWA stuff. It would be worth waiting for the graphic novel to coming out, reading the back page for a nice précis on the storyline, because me explaining what's going on issue by issue or chapter by chapter is a bit jarring, to be fair. And I don't think I could sell it. It's not down to me to sell it, is it? And this was another good read this week. Just really random for me. I didn't have a clue. I didn't know if there was any build-up in other titles from DC. I didn't know. I've not got a clue. But nevertheless, it's this one is kind of like, if you like Planetary, this is for you. It's not a superhero. They put it like that front and centre, but it's not a superhero book. They put the Batman logo on there. But I've got to admit, I think they've done themselves a disservice there. Because I've got a little half of a whinge of the week. It's something I've only just thought about actually. This would be more in a style of do you remember the Vertigo stuff? This would be more in that adult orientated kind of storyline range. It's not superhero-y and all that, although there's a superhero in it, but they don't want her for that, like, it's not a team like they say in the comic. We're not building a team of superheroes. We're not doing a new JLA or JSA or any other A. That was a good read. Solid first issue. Nowhere we haven't been before, like I say, with stuff like Planetary. But no, enjoyed it. So, if you like the sound of them, well, the sound of the first 5, we're going to have a look at the artwork inside. They're all good stories, but let's have a go as well. But let's all go through them, and we'll also do the cover of the week, which I do enjoy. Let's imagine we only had pocket money for one comic, and we were in the newsagents or wherever, going, or in America, it's the drugstore, going round that spinner rack and looking up and down, spinning that rack up and down. But we can only afford 1 or 2 comics, so we've got to decide about that cover. What is the cover that's just sucked us in the days before collecting every single issue? You just had to buy a comic and read it, and you could get in and out in one issue. Anyway, enough waffle. Please join me after the scroll for the deep dive. Right, straight in. G.I. Joe, first issue. Oh no, 301st issue. I like the way it's done. Sounds like a military regiment, doesn't it? And what I've enjoyed primarily with this first issue is this Chris Mooneyham, the artist on it, is evoking. I've never seen his artwork before, so I don't know if he's always like this. But what he's doing here, even his signature, he signs it like Joe Kubert used to sign it. And obviously, Andy Kubert has done the cover, and I think he's linked with the G.I. Joe stuff from back in the day. But where Joe Kubert was a prolific, mostly known for his art, Sergeant Rock artwork, covers and interiors, but obviously did a load more than that in his career. But obviously Andy Kubert's his son. But this just brings together the styles, like a mashup, a weird mashup of father and son art styles, because of the fact it's a war comic. And I love the fact that they're kind of, for an older reader, they're evoking those member berries in us that make us relax. We're just relaxed as soon as you open the page. Combined with Larry Hama as a veteran comic book storyteller, the amount of story they're cramming into this, which involves mostly this plane almost crashing and not crashing and avoiding Cobra headquarters. It's really well done. It's a lot of fun, which is what you expect. You don't want, because it's a war comic, for want of a better description, you don't want it too heavy, because it is still G.I. Joe. They have pitched this, for me, they pitched this perfectly. And Larry Hama crammed in so much storyline with this plane. Look, it's never out off a page. The sound effect. Obviously, the countdown is a well old trope. You could say tired, but it did work here. It did work here, and it only lasts for half the storyline before you get the next half. There's a lot of storyline in here. A lot of storyline. And Mooneyham's technical. Another artist called Colin Wilson, who did some Road Trooper stuff, and Judge Dredd back in the day. He could do vehicles so well. And the same with Mooneyham. He gets all this, you make these vehicles too sketchy and loose, and it is no good. Threw in a few zombies as well, for good measure. But look, stuff like this with the sunset in the background, just for one panel of artwork, that's a beautiful piece of art, just right there in one panel. Again, what I'm saying about the tech, these vehicles that you can believe, they're all but a lot of them are make believe, but you're not worried about that being a fantasy vehicle. You just assume that it's a piece of tech that he's copied the picture of. Just a great first issue. We've got to call it a first issue. We can't call it free. It makes me almost want to buy the other 300, but I won't. But a comic that I have got a lot of the back issues of is this. And anyone who's listened to my channel before, to my waffles, will know it is a character I hold close to my heart. So, although I didn't hate the first issue, I did review it. This is getting right into its stride now with Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen, and I think all the characters and situations, and he's after Ben Urich now because he's been linked to the police turning up at St Nicholas's Church where Matt Murdock works. So he's just listening in to Ben Urich now, and there's something wrong with old Ben. I'm liking this storyline with this in the background, where they've got to look after these kids, and obviously this is Matt's. It's making a nice change of pace from the lawyer's office, solicitor's office, whatever you want to call it. This is making a really nice change of pace, and he's got something to protect. That's why you've got a lovely splash page, to be fair. I wasn't convinced on the artwork either, but I think I've got to. He's not a name that I've ever seen before, so apologies. Aaron Kuda and Farid Karami, the pencil. Cam Smith and Farid. Anyway, there's a proper mashup of styles here, so I can't really say where I was going to say that the artwork seems to be settling down a bit, but you know, to be fair, with 4 of them doing it, I don't know like whose art to call it, but the old-fashioned Daredevil stuff. Now this does look a bit different. Now I'm thinking about artwork. This art looks a lot different. He was heavy on the outer lines in the first couple of issues. So this artwork's looking a lot better and does suit the storyline a lot more. Daredevil goes on a bit of a rampage in this issue, which is nice to see him venting. But while he's venting, and it was a good vent, a good, nicely set up fight scene, you know, using the billy clubs and all the rest of it. But right at the end of it, look, everyone's laid out. And here's the 2 coppers that arrived at St Nicholas's in the first issue. So I think this is just nicely gelling. It's well worth it. Like I said, the art style, you know, I think it's, yeah, I'm going to say it does suit it, but for me, it's more the storyline and the concept of this new launch of Daredevil as a character. They haven't changed him too much. Daredevil is still there. It's just the Matt Murdock side. I think that's what I'm trying to look for. The Matt Murdock side of things is the only bit that's changed, but I am enjoying it. And enjoying this as well. And Junkyard Joe got me onto the Ghost Machine guys. These, you know, the Unnamed, all this, they linked it together. But Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, Brad Anderson. Nice cover. I've got to say, that's a proper evocative, moody cover. And these create, you know, it's all creator owned. Brian Hitch is in here as well, Jeff Johns. But anyway, I think Gary Frank is on the form of his life at the moment with his artwork. And this is no exception. It's only a 2-issue little roundup of Geiger's origin. And Geiger is this character here who gets caught in the... Oh, I don't quite know the origin, but it's something to do with radiation, and they're following him. This is post-apocalypse America. And we've got this Russian guy here who no one trusts on the trail of Geiger because he's killed a lot of people around him. And then we've got a bit of backstory here. Here's our link to G.I. Joe, which is on the TV. I like the way he just effortlessly just dropped that in, the G.I. Joe, which was one of my favourite comics of last year. Or last year and this year, is it, when it finished? But nevertheless, one of my favourite comics in a good few years. And linking the radiation and this character with this guy here who's obviously suffering from something else going on before the bomb dropped. And Jeff Johns' storytelling in these Geiger and the Junkyard Joe books, these are really beautifully done. Him and Gary Frank, this double-page strip here would take, at the moment, with some of the bad TV we're doing that's being produced, but they evoke it with 15 panels and 2 pages. A payoff, that silent panel payoff to this element of this story with him and the kids, absolutely beautiful. It really was. And then after you've got that bit of backstory, you're back to the action again. G.I. Joe, more G.I. Joe links, which are nice. You've got to throw everything in, haven't you? I love this. I'd love to know how they do this through the colouring. It must be Gary Frank, but or if Brad Anderson takes over, because these obviously aren't ink; they're just gaps, aren't they, in the artwork? But nevertheless, I do like that skull in the mushroom cloud. I don't know if that's ever been. It must have been done before somewhere, mustn't it? But I don't think I've ever seen it before. But yeah, love it. Love it. You just have to take your time with it in silhouette. You know, these are people that we've been introduced to. They are silhouetted against that. Yeah, love it. And then all hell, you know, kind of all the action that you want in shoes. But we've got the link to the past, and obviously it's Geiger's origin. So yeah, this is the completion of his origin, I believe. These 2 episodes. So yeah, and there's enough mystery and intrigue going on as well. Yeah, and so is the monster. Next month, the conclusion. Wow, 2 issues. So it's good to get it over and done. You know, Mark Miller. Which we will see, 5 issues. He just destroyed everything he's invented in the past 20 years. So, right now, guys, now get ready and hold on to your hats, right? Because we have got the Peach Momoko Star Wars Visions, the followers of Hancock. Now, first page. I don't normally do this, so you must bear with me. She does the lot, right? Story, art and cover, so that's everything. Colouring, everything. We're introduced to these 4 characters. Now, this is very important. And I'll tell you why. And so is this important, this little intro to the story. That could be the scroll at the start of a Star Wars film. I will tell you why it's very important. Is because every page that follows, yeah, see that, is pictures. No words. This is how you have to follow the story. So when this character turns up, you have to have known a description from the beginning. Other than that, that is literally all you need to know. And that is the beauty of this comic. And it's kind of why I haven't made it my, you know, I was debating whether to do it. You know, this is a new Sith Lord, or was it, or is it? I don't know. This is her acolyte kind of thing. And then, yeah, it's Mobius-like in its setup. You know, panels like this. It isn't Mobius, and she's not copying Mobius. But there was something about all her artwork that does remind me of Mobius. It might be the madness of it, or the sheer like unbridled imagination. You know, there's not a panel. You know, look, even doing this robe where, you know, what's been going on there in this guy's hood. You know, anyone else would have just done that, maybe a bit closer. But what's going on? And then we introduced one of the other characters who's described at the beginning. And I won't go through it panel by panel. You know, I just recommend this, and it would have been my book of the week for the fact that it's a bit too mental. You know, is it Star Wars? It's certainly good science fiction. I will say that. It's got the iconography of Star Wars to a certain extent, but, you know, there's no lightsabers and TIE fighters. So is it? I don't know. What makes it a Star Wars story? There's another kind of Mobius-esque. And if you're familiar with Mobius's work, you might know what I'm trying to get at. But I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It reminded me of the artwork, some of the artwork, which is Mobius again, that you would have seen in Heavy Metal back in the day, or Metal Hurlant, whatever way you want to come at that one. Let's call it Heavy Metal. This is the kind of artwork and story you would have seen in Heavy Metal. It is, well, it's experimental. It is pushing the boundaries of comic book art. There's no other way around it. There's no other way I can describe it. It obviously is. And it's certainly pushing the boundaries of what you would consider a Star Wars story, I've got to say. But I loved it. I loved it. And I do love her artwork. I am drawn to this kind of style of art. And you know how much I love the art side of comic books. So, yeah, thoroughly recommend that. But, you know, if you're limited on funds, then probably $6, you know, Marvel got to sort themselves out, really. But for $6, is it worth waiting for the graphic novel, you know, combining all of the stuff together? I don't know. Probably so. But here we go. Come on, guys. Book of the week. For $1 more, this is like a double-sized issue from Image. Obviously, it's not as glossy as stock on the cover, but who cares? That's still a great cover. Again, with as many characters from previous, Kick-Ass, Hit Girl, Nightclub, Chrononauts. Oh, I don't know what his name was, and that's from Magic. She's from Magic Order. So you see what they're doing, but this has been fun from issue 1 onwards. You can't get more mad than what they've done. Fleets of spaceships in the future. Every character Mark Millar's ever written, plus a new. Is it a new villain? Diablos the Sorcerer. Hit Girl's gone back in time, come back to the future, and then they're getting one over on the other. And Pepe Larraz's artwork in this has been absolutely stunning. Everything, there's something on every single page. And Mark Millar, one of my bugbears with, and I know I repeat myself, gang, sorry, but one of my big bugbears is that some comics are decent, but they just don't get on with it. They stretch it across a whole year's worth. It's like they play them for a year. They play 12 issues, 1 issue a month, and nothing goes on for 2 or 3. The Mark Millar with this, there is something going on. You kind of have to slow yourself down or reread it twice. You can see how much fun Mark Millar's having, and Pepe Larraz on the artwork, where he's got it all to do. He's got it all to do. And I can only compare it to Brian Hitch. When Brian Hitch has to do all, and I know there are other artists like George Perez back in the day, but who have got to draw every single character. You can't just have that, you can't just have these people, not recognisable. You can't do that. You have to detail every character, and he does it really well. But then he's back on the tech. So he's just done all the characters, but look at this tech again. It's great, and I know I'm keeping this kind of loose with the storyline because you just got to go and read it. And if you've been a Mark Millar fan, you're probably picking this up already. But look, it's crammed, absolutely crammed in this final issue. It is a breakneck speed. Got to say, breakneck speed, full marks to Mark Millar. Ha ha. I had to do something, didn't I? I had to say something stupid. But all the praise in the world for Mark Millar. Look, I had to get to this splash page. That is fantastic. I don't really have to point out, do I, anything what's going on? Just pause the video for a moment and just have a look at what's going on. And I like when you throw a dinosaur into it, you've achieved 100% insanity levels. But not only that, but a train as well, going through a portal, including spaceships, giant superheroes, future tech. Is there a robot? I'm sure there's a robot there somewhere. There's got to be a robot. Oh, is this? Yeah, there's a robot. So guys, yeah, just welcome to the world of... Now we know it's Mark Millar. And now we really know it's Mark Millar. Anyway, guys, I thoroughly recommend that. It's issue 5, so it's December. I think the trade paperback, the collected edition is following on very, very quickly. So just in time for Crimbo. So yeah, that is my thoroughly deserved book of the week. But is it cover of the week? I've got to keep it there because there is a lot going on. I mean, you can't say a lot more than... You can't cram a lot more onto the cover or the issue. So there's something about that I find really, especially when it's Geiger, with glowing radiation and stuff like that I really enjoy. That is eye-catching. I know it's not action-packed, but if you've seen the Netflix show, like you just know, like that extreme close-up I think just works, although it isn't action packed. So I think that's got to be in the running. Action packed. Now that is. And there's two more here. Always Red Goblin. These covers by Inhook Lee. You know, I think I've showed every cover, and we're on issue 10 now. I just think they're such beautifully rendered covers. And same Ryan Brown, who done the cover to issue 1. I just think you can just see that he's having a lot of fun. And if we buy that comic, we might have a lot of fun too. So, yeah, fair play to Marvel with two great pieces of art, spoilt by the advert for the toot that is Marvel's, but that's a video for another day. I'm going to take those 3 away, guys. And I think I'm going to take Geiger away, because although it's a creepy cover, you know, I think it definitely in with the running. You know, these are the top 3 for me. But I've got to say, with my pocket money, and it's down to these last 2, but with my pocket money, in that spinner, in that newsagents, when I was a kid, it would have been difficult for me. I would have been wishing that I had pocket money enough for 2, and hopefully I would have done. Probably when I got my paper round back in the day, I would have bought all of these. But I've got to choose one, and these are 2. These are 2 covers that sell comics. I've got to say, come on. But this one, G.I. Joe, that gets the team in there, and you're under no illusions what you're getting. I don't think, anyway. Even if you don't know G.I. Joe, forget that you've ever heard of that as a franchise. Of course, you know what you're getting here, don't we? You know, yes. So for me, cover of the week. If you followed me into this video thus far, thank you so much, as always. And until this week, well, I'll see you in a few days, because I will be catching up on, and apologies again for the lateness of this one. And until then, I'll bid you all adios.